Hey there, how are you? It's been how many weeks? Okay, I did do one little live while I was in California, but it's been way too long and I have actually missed you. I have missed being live on Facebook doing my weekly ranting. So I'm really excited to connect with you today, to reconnect with you today. It's been quite an eventful summer. Salut, Sarah. So I don't know. I know that I've been following a lot of you. I've been seeing your posts. What's up, Karan? Hello, Nino. It's been an intense summer, and if you've been following any of my posts, then you know that I've been to multiple continents, multiple countries. It started off in Iceland. Oh, and something arrived from Iceland, which I'm gonna open. This is when I was in Iceland for the visit with Solveig. Some of you have heard me talk about her. I met this beautiful woman named Frida, who is an artist and author and so many other things. She sent me a gift. The summer started off, sorry, I bet this is noisy. Let me get it open. Ooh la la. Ooh, I love gifts. This has been a summer where I've been giving a lot of gifts as I travel. I've been giving out smilers all around the world and Peru and California. So it's nice that I got a gift. Look what I got from Frida. So I've been giving out a lot of gifts and traveling around and trying to share positivity. And when I was in Iceland, I shared in another live that I was just sort of blown away. Ooh. There's one ribbon off. Oh, wow, this is beautiful. Look at this. Oh my gosh, can you see this? The goddess within you. Is this not gorgeous? It is. You know, I saw this laying on the counter at Solveig's home, but I didn't touch it. I didn't realize that it's this beautiful blue velvet and this gold shininess. Oh, is that gorgeous or what? Oh, and it's been, oh, wow, it's a limited edition even. I've got number 67 out of 100. Oh, wow. I'm gonna read that dedication later because it's for me. Wow. So, how amazing is this? How amazing are these photos? Can you see this photo? I am so super inspired right now. Oh, thank you, Frida. Wow, these are, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to do a whole thing on each of these chapters. Grace, the word, joy. Oh, and look at this beautiful picture. Like, I love this. It's like a picture book with inspiration about finding the goddess within. And some of these goddesses I actually saw when I was at the goddess gathering. Who knew? I should have known, of course. Oneness, empathy. Wow, transformation. This is obviously my kind of book. Thank you, Frida. And thank you, Solveig, for inviting me up to Iceland. So I just want to talk about, gosh, the contrast. I have the contrast of my trip to the top of the earth. Okay, well, it's the farthest north I've been, to Iceland, where it kicked off my summer just full of joy. You know, I guess I should say I started off in South America, in Peru. That's right, that was in July. And then August, I went up to Iceland for my time with Solveig and Ausha, whom I've also shared in that Huffington Post and Thrive Global message that I wrote out, a long sharing from my personal journal. I don't always do that, but lately I don't know, I've been super emotional. I think you guys know that. Hi, Camilla. Hi, Lisa. It's so good to be connected. I'm just going to find my iPad, or maybe not. Where's my iPad? Will one of you guys share this on my regular? I know, I shouldn't be asking y'all to do work. I hope that the connection is still good. I'm in my messy, hello, there we go. My messy other studio. This is where I normally shoot my other videos when I'm doing classes and whatnot. So I'm gonna just handle this really quick. But the contrast of seeing all of this joy in Iceland, for one, was, you know, it was amazing, it was wonderful, it was exactly what I wanted. But then I went up to the United States and it was a little more depressing. It was depressing because I was seeing such disparity. Sorry, I'm being naughty, I know, trying to talk and type at the same time. I would usually get yelled at by a certain someone who shall remain nameless. Hello, Margarita. Looking forward to connecting with you very soon, too. So here's the deal. The contrast that I saw, that is so not cool. I'm sorry for the jungly, jumpy video. The reality is I just got home from all of these travels. It's been 5.5 weeks on the road, and let me tell you, that was too long. So after I did 5 days in Iceland, came back, I had a couple of days at home, packed up, and then went to America for 5.5 weeks, and actually cut the trip short because it was just too much. And so the contrast that I saw going from Peru, where I was with the beautiful Missy Crutchfield, Dr. Amelia Kemp, Dr. Antoine Chevalier, Daniel Yair Johnson, I believe, all these amazing souls that I met in Peru, where it was so spiritual, it was like so filling with love. Then I pop up to Iceland, where once again, it was all about love. It was about tapping into the goddess within you. And if you saw the post that I wrote for Huffington Post and Thrive Global, I'm sharing a little bit of that on the radio today in just a few hours. I was blown away. I was blown away because I guess actually it's the whole year is just all full of love and inspiration. In April, when I was in Alicante, Spain with some of you, Steiner Ditlevsen set the stage for inviting an open heart full of love and really stepping up our game and stepping up our heart power, as he calls it. And so when I left Alicante, I was so inspired because we were all on equal playing field, if you will. It was like we shared a vision of just bringing our best, whatever that is, in whatever area, whether you're a speaker, a coach, a healer, a mom, bringing your best and bringing the love. So it started off there. Then I get to Iceland and it was like mind explosion, heart explosion, as I saw my dear friend and now colleague and client, Solveig, in her own space. So I was hosted in her beautiful home, right up against the sea for this cacao ceremony and hot yoga twice, dripping with sweat. Did my first yoga headstand. Woo, woo! And just watching her in her own environment, with her clients, with her business partners at Sunnier, her studio for yoga and transformation. I got to hear her gonging with Ausha, playing these beautiful gongs. And during these guided meditations, I was so inspired, because what you may have noticed about me and about what I invite in this community is just a sharing of love and a lifting up of everyone's brand, platform, message. This ain't about me and it ain't about ego. It's about sharing our light, our love, our messages so that this world can heal. So normally I'm all pumped up. I stay in my positive zone. ever since I started studying applied positive psychology with Dr. Marty Seligman, you know, he's the one that is sort of like the grandfather of positive psychology, has this program at University of Pennsylvania. And I actually taught applied positive psychology at the University of Monaco down the street here. And since learning these principles about how we can rewire our brain, or in the words of Dr. Rick Hansen, we can hardwire happiness. We can actually change our neurochemistry to have a Buddha brain. And after doing this for years and years, it's worked. Like the depression that I struggled with, the anxiety, gone. Just filled with light and love and happiness, which is why I rant to you about what is possible. Because I know if I had been on the brink of giving up on life, because I went down that road of trying to conform and please everybody else and trying to achieve and make, you know, I don't know, try to make myself look as good as I could so I'd be happy, which never friggin' worked. If you've been down that road, then you know that if you get free, you want to tell the whole world about it. And so that's what I've been doing. And I thought I was doing pretty well. Hello, Jeanette. It's good to see you. So I've been doing well, and I get up there to Iceland, and Solveig blows my mind. She shows me a whole higher level of expression of love. Now, of course, that's her energy type. That's what she's here on the planet to do. She and her partner, Gulli and Raf from Nature Genetics, something that I'm going to be bringing to the world with them. There's this idea that we can tap into our nature, our genetics, it's way beyond like figuring out how the moon and the stars influence you. But you can find out who you really are and all of these influences about who you're meant to be and live in accordance with that. And when we live in accordance with who we really are, that's when the magic happens. Margarita says she cannot see the video. Y'all let me know. Maybe we got to do a refresh. Hello, Annette. So when you live in accordance with your own energy and who you're meant to be, who you came to the planet to be, that's when you experience the bliss of living your truth. And that's what Solveig showed me, and beautiful Ausha as well. It was like, and all of the goddesses who were in this goddess circle. So I was just blown away. I was like, oh my goddess, it's real, it's true. There's a community of us on the planet and we're joining together. My friend Allison said it was like seeing all of these lights shining around the globe. And some of us are being pulled and drawn to do more, to step up and be more. And this is what was shown to me in a vision when I was doing a meditation using the Pandora star. So the beautiful Helena Goldstein, who I also mentioned in today's radio broadcast, you know, Helena was talking about us finding the light and even recognizing that we are the light, and the light is always there, even in the midst of darkness. So here I left Iceland, beginning of August, flew to America, and when I landed in Florida, I was in South Florida for a training doing holographic kinetics with Steve Richards from Australia, his partner Lisa, and Dr. Antoine Chevalier and the rest of the crew. I happened to go through some towns in Florida that were struggling, and it hit me so hard. I think because Solveig blew my heart wide open. So I was in this open love bubble, and as soon as I got into this particular space, I could feel the energy, the stress, the suffering, the sadness, the tension, the fear, it was creepy. Now obviously I'm an empath. I'm kind of used to that. It's been part of my life, but I guess I let my defenses down, just being so, you know, hopped up on love. And I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't been in the US, and particularly in these towns that were a little more depressed, in, I guess, close to a year. Last time I was in the US was what? I don't know, October of last year? So being there and seeing so many people hurting and suffering, like it was like, it hit me. And I remembered, gosh, okay, this is what I was shown in these different visions during my meditations that I thought was kind of weird. First, it was like the vision in February about really helping many of you, many of my potential clients and authors, people who have these messages to get out to the world. I'm here to help you do that. Hello, beautiful Helen. I'm here to help you get your message out there so that the world can heal. So that was part of the mission that I got downloaded during meditation back in February. And then in Peru during a meditation, I could tap into my spirit guides or higher self, God, source, wisdom, whatever you want to call that. I knew it was coming from the highest place possible. And I saw that helping more healers and light workers overcome the financial struggles that some of you have. Let's just keep it real, because you healers and you woo-woo folks, why are y'all so against getting paid? Like, some of my people are just like, well, it's a spiritual gift. It comes from God. Maybe I shouldn't charge so much. That's a whole nother conversation. I have 3 people lined up to do some great webinars on financial abundance for spiritual people. Because if you are broke, you cannot help people. And my darlings, right now, the thing I got tapped back into during this meditation in Peru is the suffering around our planet. Yes, in my little bubble of positivity, especially here on the Riviera and working in Monte Carlo, where they're like, recession? What recession? When you're hanging out with billionaires, you kind of forget that the rest of the world is suffering. So in my bubble of positivity, I was kind of a little bit removed from suffering. Now, of course, I'm seeing the news. I see the stress and the depression, but it gets filtered in. I don't have a TV here in the house. We don't watch the news. So we get little bits of it dribbled in. So going from all of the positivity to the craziness of Southern Florida where I was reminded of why I do the work I do. And what struck me as I moved from there, I went to Richmond. And I was in Richmond, Virginia for a few days. And there too, I started to see what my godmother says, what she's noticed in America is there's a widening of the gap between the haves and the have-nots. And when I asked her about it, she said, yeah, the recession, the 2008 crisis, we're starting to bounce back, but we've seen a widening of the gap between people who are making it financially and people who are still struggling. But the struggle, it's not just a struggle like it used to be. I got part West Indian blood. So there's always this joke about West Indians and Jamaicans, they just get 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 jobs if they have to. Hey man, gotta go to work. But right now, people aren't finding jobs. And not only have they returned to live with their parents, for example, they've lost their homes, they've gone back to live with their folks. I met someone who said his family was living in a hotel. And then I saw a couple more cases of that, where these people couldn't afford to be fully in that renting system. And they basically had to put stuff away and live in a hotel. But what really hit me was when I left Richmond and went to Nevada to see my family, and I promise I'll get back to positivity, I just have to get this out. I saw someone who has been really hit by the financial crisis, but not just the crisis, it's been going on much longer. And one of the things that I noticed was that this woman is a hoarder. Do you guys know what that is? Some of my peeps on this side of the map? Hoarding is when you collect things and keep them, and kind of like a pack rat, you never get rid of stuff. And here's what I really want to tap into. And that is saving for a rainy day versus scarcity mentality where you just feel like that rainy day is never gonna come. So I was reminded of my friend, Dr. Michael Dow. So Dr. Mike is this wonderful New York Times bestselling author, dear friend of mine in Hollywood. He shared with me this book, I guess about 6 years ago, by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. I'm kind of embarrassed to say I hadn't even read it until he gave me a copy back in, 2010, I guess? Oh my gosh. But I was thinking back on Man's Search for Meaning and how it was that Viktor Frankl, this, psychologist who was in a concentration camp, who never knew if he might be dead the very next day, how he was able to go through the psychology of seeing who survived and who withered away and finding meaning in a concentration camp. So I'm not saying that people in America are living that destitute, but here's the link. When you've got poverty consciousness, when you look at people who have immigrated and they've come from countries where there was, way back in the day, drought, famine, serious depression, again, people who survived the Great Depression in the United States. If you look at their parents or grandparents or great-grandparents, many of them developed a scarcity consciousness. And who could blame them? If you're in a period where there are no jobs, it's not just like, other people took your jobs, there just weren't jobs, there just weren't money. If you can imagine coming from a country or an economy like that, yes, you're going to hoard. You're going to hold on to things. You're going to pack things away for, a day where you might not have enough. But when that's going on in the here and now, that makes me wonder. Because in the case of this person who was hoarding, she had plenty of stuff, but she wasn't even using it. And so here's the thing that started to mess with my mind. It started to mess with my mind that we can save things for a rainy day because we're being smart, and we can hoard things and never use them and exist in a state of poverty consciousness, scarcity consciousness that brings down our energy and our vibration. Is this making sense to anybody? Have I lost y'all? Oh, Lord. Tell me that the internet is still working. That's the one challenge about living out in the country with no fiber optics. But do you hear me? Thank you. Thank you, Camilla, for showing me that I'm still broadcasting. So here's the thing. Never using, okay, how many of you do this? How many of you have a really wonderful perfume or beautiful scented candles that you never light, that you never burn, that you never wear? Because you're thinking, oh no, I only save this for special occasions. But how many special occasions have you broken it out for in the last year? Now, I'm not talking about being wasteful, and I'm not talking about being hedonistic. But what I realized is when you get into that scarcity mentality and you never live fully or enjoy whatever bounty, even if it's a tiny bounty, if you're not enjoying what the universe has given to you, what you have manifested or what God has bestowed upon you, then you're keeping your energy and your vibration low. And that over time impacts the brain. Like, I was also reminded of the work of Dr. Barbara Fredrickson. So she's the one who, yeah, you can't take it with you. That's right, Quran, live now. So Barbara Fredrickson, she's the one who talks about building up positive resources, like positive, I'm thinking of positive karma or merit. That's not what she talks about, believe me. But it's about positive emotions. Like, how many of you wait for something to happen to make you feel happy? And Jeanette, stop saving those dresses. Put on one of them beautiful dresses to just feel how good it feels to have that fabric against your skin or that color that makes you come alive. Like, how many of you still dance or sing or enjoy good music, even if it's not a party? Like, this is the thing that really hit so hard for me. Because while I was in Iceland with Ausha and Solveig and all these beautiful people, I mentioned in that that article I wrote that I was like, I don't want them to think I'm lame, so I'm gonna do everything they do. Okay, this is called positive peer pressure. Choose your peers wisely, because you will be like them. Fortunately, I'm around people who take me up a couple notches. So I was around all of this beauty, and they were like keeping me out till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, dancing and singing outside at an outdoor concert in Icelandic, you know, doing hot yoga, ferry hopping, island hopping, all this stuff. And I thought, wow, I haven't been living, even though I call myself living my own diamond life, you know. And I realized when I got to the United States and I saw how many people are also not living, and they could justify it. They could say, look, the economy is jacked up. People are literally afraid to be outside, caught driving while brown. Yeah, racial profiling for people with brown skin, it is happening. It is a reality. So if you can imagine, okay, fine, maybe you're justified in your fear, but I wasn't. So when I saw the contrast and I got to Nevada and I saw how these people were living, and then I saw my own mom. Some of you may know that my mother has Alzheimer's disease, and dementia, it's a mother. I will say it is a mother effer. And the thing to see my mom, who's always been so feisty and fierce, I mean, she was a hot mama in her day. She loves to dance, or as she taught my daughter to say, whine your tail, girl. My mother's from British Guyana, if you didn't know. So my mom always grew up with music around in the house. She would whine her tail while she was cooking. She would go out dancing, and she loves it. That's what turned her on. So this time, just a few days ago, when we got to Las Vegas, my mom, her short-term memory is all she got left. I mean, she has the old memories, but her short-term memory is like, you tell her something now, 2, 3 minutes later, she won't remember it. So when we got there, thank God, she still recognizes me and my daughter, Sienna. It's the only granddaughter she's got, the only grandbaby she's got. So Sienna was talking to my mom, and she said something about, oh, come and sit down next to me, you know, I'll just whine my little tail. And Sienna said, yeah, I know you like to whine your tail, Grandma. And suddenly my mom perked up. So if you can imagine, here she is at 84 with dementia, kind of feeling a little rickety. She stands up and she starts dancing with Sienna. They're doing their little, you know, West Indian groove. And it was just like, I mean, I'm not going to cry. It's really depressing. It's really hard. It's really hard to see my mom this way. But the one saving grace that I will say about Alzheimer's is she doesn't really remember how bad it is right now. Like, she can grab onto the positive still and kind of stay with it. Now, of course, she can grab onto the negative. If she thinks about, oh, my knee's hurting, she can kind of play that over and over again. But just to see that she's not tuned into the state of the world, and the reason that some of us were a little depressed with the political and financial struggles. And then, you know, when I landed there, it was just right as the hurricane was like pummeling into Florida. So she wasn't really tuned into all of the negativity. And just see her like just light up and start dancing, I thought, oh my God. Like, how do we still find joy amidst all of the pain and the suffering? Because that stuff's not going to go away. Like, you might say, oh, my knee hurts, and maybe you rub on a little bit of icy hot or bio, whatever she had, and feel a little better. And then you feel better and you think, okay, I can go on. But right now, there are people who still don't have power, who, their homes have been destroyed and now they're living in shelters. It's not like they're going to turn around tomorrow and they can say, okay, everything's great. Hey, Angelica, how are you? I don't know. So let me tap back into y'all. Let me take a break so I don't cry. So Camilla, you said you've had some really nice expensive plates and glasses that you would save and only celebrate when you had people over, which happens, yeah, I know, maybe 2 times a year. Stop it. I say, use what we've got. Use the bounty that we have as we have it. And it takes some time and practice, but you can flip the script in your brain. You can change your brain from thinking that everything is scarce, that our resources are scarce, that we don't have enough. And you can recognize that on this entire planet that you are one with, this entire planet that is yours, there is abundance. And that's the thing that hurt me to my core, is to see how far removed people are from the vibration of abundance. And little bits of time will have to happen when you are willing to embrace that, right? And I met up with my godmother, who several years ago, I had just had a major financial setback. And I was pretty depressed at the time. This was before I moved to France. And anyway, some things were going on. And she has a motto that you can have a pity party, but only for 10 minutes. You don't want to bottle up your emotions. Helen, I know you know about that in your career. You've seen what happens to us when we bottle up our emotions. It gets all in the body. Energy in motion. That's what emotion is. It's energy in motion. You got to let that stuff go. Because if you bottle it up, that energy is going to turn inward. It'll turn into, for me, it's muscle tension, neck tension. I used to get tension headaches. Not anymore, because I learned to let that ish go. But when we hold on to that energy, I saw patients who would basically bottle up their rage or their fear or their depression, and it turned inward. And it's like that energy might have turned into, intestinal problems, bladder problems, fibroids in the uterus. So you got to let that energy go. And so my godmother always said, look, Andrea, get it out. Have a pity party for 10 minutes, and then it's over. And one of the things that she did is, in the midst of going through this financial challenge that I had several years ago, she gave me a gift. And if you've ever seen me talk about receiving, I used to have a really hard time receiving. And she was the one that broke me down. She and my daughter. And they are like 2 peas in a pod. In fact, my godmother swears that I gave birth to Sienna, but it's really her child. Because they're so alike. Anyway, so my godmother, we call her Nana. Her name is Cynthia Diane Gill, and I love and adore her. Shout out to Cynthia. Shout out to all the peeps in Richmond or Verina, Ricky, and oh gosh, I can't even go through the whole list. Anyway, she gave me some diamonds. She gave me some diamond earrings, a diamond necklace, and this was at a time when I could not receive gifts from people. And she said, listen, honey, financial challenges are going to go away, but a woman should always have diamonds. And you need to wear diamonds. Now, I was, of course, grateful and stunned, but it stuck with me because seeing her again this time, right? And seeing, her cousin Brenda and Angie, and seeing all the pictures of the new babies out in California. What up to Trey? What up to Teddy? And seeing, their other niece, Nyla, who's also growing up tall. It was like to see them just giving love. They had just visited somebody who was in the hospital. They had just been to a wedding. They had been driving up to DC for a retirement party. Shout out to you, Sylvia. Happy retirement. And so it was beautiful because it reminded me of the abundance that we can tap into if we so choose. And joy and love is something we can generate ourselves. And so when I think back again to this Barbara Fredrickson stuff and positive emotion, she says even micro moments of positive emotion can start to add up in our brains. And I remember listening to some music. Sienna hit me to some new songs that I hadn't heard. And I was just like getting my groove on in the bathroom, listening to the music as I'm getting dressed. And I thought, oh my gosh, I haven't been dancing. I haven't been singing. I haven't been really rocking out to music. And these are the things that like lift me up and bring me joy. And I kept thinking, what am I waiting for? What am I waiting for? I'm waiting till it's a night to go out dancing? Or I'm waiting for, waiting to exhale. So yes, hello to Namisha, it's been a while. Glad to have you. And yes, Karan, you will love her. Diamonds, diamonds, diamonds. They love sparkly things. She and Sienna are like this. They love the sparkles. And Camilla says, I'm just learning that money is just energy. And it's your friend. And also what your money story is from the past. That's right. And we have to understand how we got programmed. You know, the stories we tell ourselves impact everything about us. Our energy, our vibration, what we think is possible for us. And so I'm glad that you're looking at your money story, Camilla, because the good news is you can change it. Like, the good news is with looking at people who have poverty consciousness or scarcity consciousness, where they just feel like there's not enough. It's a trick of the brain to make you think there's not enough. And you might have gotten programmed because of your upbringing or your parents or your culture or society. But that's not fixed. It sometimes requires that you widen your perspective. If you're only looking at the tiny little microcosm of where you've come from, which may have been a period where there was truly some poverty. But then you open up the lens to see a little wider. Hi, Terry. Hello, Heidi and Lillian. Opening up your perspective to see more of the situation, you recognize that we live in a world of abundance. You recognize that if you stay closed-eyed and fixed watching the silly news, you will think that we live in a dark, depressing world. That's what I was starting to think. You will think that there's nothing but war and tragedy and terrorism and evil and storms. I am not discounting the fact that millions of people have been affected. That is true. But remember that there are 7.2 billion of us on Mother Earth, on beautiful Gaia. So when you widen your perspective and you realize, oh, sure, maybe based on my parents who came from a period of time or a location where, yes, they were limited in their finances, they infected you with this scarcity virus where you think there's not enough. I have to hoard. I have to save. Don't use that. Or the worst thing of all is keeping plastic on stuff. Like, okay, maybe, is that just an American thing? Hey, all of my Nordics, my Scandinavian peeps, is there anybody out there in your family, maybe an old grandma, I hope it's not you, maybe somebody, an auntie that used to like keep the plastic on the chairs or on the sofa to try to keep it new and try to protect it? I'm not saying that that's a problem, you know, keep your stuff nice and new, but in this day and age, we have something called Scotch Guard, you know, spray it on there and it creates a coating on even really nice fabrics that you can just wash away the stains. You don't need to have the plastic on. Like, what are we waiting for? Can we allow our senses to be turned on and stimulated by the good and the beauty that is around us? Or are we going to just keep our eye focused on the negative? My friends, it hit me to my core. But here's where it turned around. It turned around for me when I went to California. My daughter and I met up and we went to California. And this was towards the end of the trip. I was feeling pretty tired and ready to come home. And we got to this place called Petaluma because I was doing a photo shoot with some amazingly beautiful and fabulous women who are from In Her Image photography. Shout out to Tara and Heidi. So we went to Petaluma right at the height of the heat wave. Like Northern California doesn't usually get to 105 degrees. It was like 105 degrees. We were melting. But it was the craziest phenomenon. So again, after being in southern Florida and in Las Vegas, where we bumped into people who were really grumpy and miserable, we walked into some restaurants, some stores, some pharmacies, and everywhere we went, we were greeted with a smile. You know, back when I was in Florida, I was like, I need to give these people some smilers, you know, stick it in your mouth. It forces you to smile. Shout out to, this is my shameful plug day. Shout out to Gekka. The new book is coming. So I got to Petaluma and these people were just greeting us and they were so nice. And we went to restaurants and we're like, we're vegan and allergic to peanuts and sesame. And rather than them looking at you like, here's the menu, let's find what you can eat, they were like totally accommodating and so nice. Like, I remember looking at Sienna going, is this real? Are these people for real? And even, I don't know, we went to Target shooting, we were shooting video also in California, in East Palo Alto. Shout out to Stanford. We went there, I think somebody's here outside. Philippa! Your dad is here! Okay, sorry guys, I gotta like greet some people. Hello!
Hello.
I'm on Facebook Live. Ça va toi? C'était bien passé? On fait la liste? Okay, I will get them. So, I was saying, here we got to Petaluma. Hello, darling. Your papa and your sister are here. Yeah, good luck with getting her peeled away. I was just sharing about my world travels. So, I'm here now, joined by two little munchkins who are making their way down and out, but we had a little sleepover here. And no school today. So, anyway, so we get to California, and it turns out that it was just so inspiring because we literally were greeted with such love, and we got to Target to buy these batteries, and it was one of those mega Targets. I know most of my peeps on this side of the map cannot even imagine how huge these stores are. And I was like kind of in a hurry, so I'm like, where are the batteries? And this girl's like, I'll show you. And she takes me over, and I'm like, thanks. And I'm looking around at the batteries, find what I want, and I pass her again, and she's like, have a great day. Now, I know that sounds kind of basic, but it's been so long since, well, I mean, okay, 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks in America, where people were so grumpy. They weren't wishing anybody a nice day. It was just kind of like, get out of my face. You know what I'm saying? But it was beautiful, and it sort of renewed my hope. And, oh, someone is leaving with another vegan treat. See you tomorrow at school. Oui, des cadeaux, des cadeaux. À demain. So, yeah, where was I? Sorry, guys. Sorry for the interruption. That's what happens on a Wednesday when there's no school and you got peeps over. I have no idea what I was just saying. MyBad.com. Still a little jet lagged. Anyway, I will tell you this. Little noisy dog. The other turning point for me was recognizing that the people in California, it's not that they didn't know there was, financial challenges. They had some brush fires, so they were aware of Mother Nature blazing her trail through the world. And of course, they're tuned into the political challenges. But the thing that was different, I think, in being around the Californians was that they were still connected to hope and a belief in a brighter future. Whereas some of the other people I had seen across America had lost hope. They weren't optimistic anymore. And I did an interview with Sister Jenna. She's the founder of the Meditation Museum in Northern Virginia and Silver Spring, Maryland. And you've heard me talk about her because of the retreat I went to at Peace Village in New York. And I'm going back again in a month and a half. She and I sat down to do an interview for my radio show. And blessings to Sister Jenna. It was supposed to be for my show. It turned into her mentoring me and infusing me with more hope and happiness. So as I was recollecting on the lessons I learned from Sister Jenna for my radio show that's going out today. So tune in today at 12 o'clock Eastern for you in the US, 6 p.m. for us here in Central Europe, and 5 o'clock for you, beautiful Helen, in the UK. 4 o'clock for my Icelandic. You can listen. It streams online on America Out Loud. So it was, oh, thank you for that, Terry. Sometimes, I don't know, Terry, I haven't seen you in this community very much. I should tell you, for the new folks, now we're 40 minutes in, Wednesday is my time for what we call a cup of verbal tea, meaning I just get to rant and go off about anything. So it's not always very structured, because I'm no longer a perfectionist. I'm a perfectionist in recovery. Yeah, sorry. So jet lag and verbal stream of consciousness going. So I'm doing this radio show yesterday, and it's a special edition where I wasn't ranting, but I was definitely like I'm doing with you, but a little more structured. I was sharing some of my observations from you beautiful souls who have so touched me and so inspired me on my journey. And while I was recording the part about Sister Jenna and her new CD, which is called Inclusion Revolution, Together with Love. And it is amazeballs. So even though I got it, an advanced copy, I went ahead and bought it. I've put the link here on Amazon. It's also on iTunes and CD Baby. Inclusion Revolution, Together with Love by Sister Jenna, who is the host of the syndicated talk radio show called America Meditating. She and I sat down, we talked about Inclusion Revolution, we talked about what really needs to happen right now, particularly in America, well, all over the world. We're all dealing with these challenges where people from the left and the right are not united, the haves, the have-nots, the browns and the whites, whatever you want to look at it. And she reminded me that we need a revolution of inclusion. And this new meditation CD that she's just released is got these amazing beats produced by this guy named Joe Rob Waldron. And it's like this mellow, funky beats, so that had me hooked. And then you hear her beautiful, velvety, smooth voice. it's a transmission of a beautiful energy. So I'm listening to that, and I send Sister Jenna a message on WhatsApp, because, we spiritual folks, we connect via WhatsApp. And we're kind of talking back and forth, getting touching base on the episode that goes out today, and touching base since I got back. And then, a few minutes later, as I'm recording the radio show, my phone rings. And it's Sister Jenna's phone. But it wasn't Sister Jenna. It was Sister Gita. Yep, it's Sister Jenna's mom. Sister Gita is this beautiful soul who like touches me. Like every time I see her, I feel like we're family. And she has a special bond with my daughter, Sienna. So we ended up chatting. And here's the thing. I know it was divinely guided. I know Baba, God in infinite wisdom, was like, Andrea's dipping into the negativity sauce a little too long. And just when I was struggling to like turn something around and start to look for the positive, Sister Gita reminded me of something that Sister Jenna shared. And Evelyn, you've probably heard this. She was talking about this golden age. That right now, what we're seeing on our planet is to be expected in some sense, and it's bringing up the negative in us and in others so that it can be looked at, examined, and removed, purged, so that we can evolve, so that we can grow and go beyond. And what they described to me, and I love the way that Sister Gita just like poured into me yesterday. I was just like, oh. She said, listen, Andrea, right now we have to remember that we can return to our true state. Because at our core, not in this human state, the ego, but at our spiritual core, we're still connected to that divine light, that purity, and that love. And I just saw that as she was describing it, she said, yes, it's tough right now, but there's a brighter time coming. And it was just reminding me that the strife and the challenges and the storms, it's temporary. And when you're in it, when you're in the midst of your own hurricane, you feel like it's never going to end. Whether that's a financial drama that's lasted years, or a health challenge that's lasted years, or a relationship that's been going sour for years, you feel like, oh my God, it's never going to end, and you lose hope. And they reminded me that going through this dark time, these spiritual leaders say that there is a time of peace and light, and we will return. We will return to a happier state, to a divine state. Terry, I'm sorry you're going through a storm, but just remember that you are bigger than all of it. And that's what we had to remember. That's what Sister Gita told me yesterday. She said, remember that as we remind ourselves of and practice those virtues of positivity, of joy and light, those virtues will rise to the top. So all of the positive psychology stuff that I've been doing, where I was staying in my bubble of happiness, that's because that's us at our core. And what she reminded me was of this power we have. And the last little thing I'll say, and I'll open it up to questions, she said, right now, don't take on anyone else's sorrow, and don't give anyone your sorrow. She said, just remember that. Remember to return inward to the light. Practice those virtues, the love, the joy, the purity, the light. And then it reminded me that, yeah, we've got to stop hoarding and keeping back our laughter, our joy, our dancing, our beautiful dresses, our candles, our perfume. You've got to stop holding that for some rainy day that, well, I mean, it's raining, y'all. So maybe that's the message with all the rain and the storms. And yes, Northern California did get a good rain before we left there to stamp out some of the storms. I think I just saw Frida. Frida, you're going to have to go and watch the replay, because guess what I unveiled? This beautiful baby right here. And I just think this is a beautiful note to end on, that the goddess within you, the light within you, the divine within you is what we need to focus on. It doesn't mean we don't pay attention to what's going on. It doesn't mean we don't hold others with compassion. But you, in the words of Sister Gita, don't give anyone your sorrow and don't take on anyone's sorrow. Be helpful, be that light, whatever it is, whether it's taking food to someone who's been ill, whether it's just sending a nice message, or like the beautiful thank you that I got from you, Helen Rebello. Oh, made my day. Thank you for that. Just saying thank you, can make someone's day. And remember that every micro moment of positivity adds up and makes a difference to the brain. It literally makes a difference to your brain. And if we don't learn how to become, master operators of our brains, in the words of Dr. Valencia Ray, then what are we doing? That means we're always being reactionary to the stuff coming at us. And that's what they want. Okay. All right, I'm going to make one last tangent, and then I promise I'm going to leave it alone. One of the things I shared in the radio, I hope you listen to it today. It'll be, available on podcast eventually. But one of the things that hit me was meeting up with some people who were talking about conspiracies, the people who are out to get you. All right, so here's what I mean by that. There are people who want you to feel like all hope is gone. Does that sound bleak? Does that sound disgusting? Does that sound like a conspiracy theory? There are people, there is the media, the mainstream media, that will keep putting out reports and images and sound bites that promote fear, that promote the sense of aggression, that promote a sense of wrongness. And if we don't remember to tap into the goddess within, then we're always looking towards the outside. And if you're always looking towards the outside, what happens when there is negativity in your face? Are you going to allow it to keep you down? Because that's what the powers that be, according to some, would want you to do. So I mentioned in the radio show that there were people that I saw in Florida who were literally walking around like zombies. It was as if there was just nobody home. They weren't fully present, They weren't tuned in. And it's hard for people to understand that what we feed upon changes our brain and our energy. And it's not a little thing. If you feed upon negative news, it impacts your energy, your vibration, and your outlook. And if your outlook is bleak, then your thoughts are bleak, and your words are bleak, and your actions are bleak. And if you feed on food, which I'm almost afraid to even call the stuff that I saw people eating food, like the fast food industry in America is crazy. And even the manufactured food that you see advertised on television, the ads make it sound like it's good for you. What's up, Alley Cat? Great to see you. The ads that we saw in America, even my daughter picked up on it. She was like, wow, they really want you to think that this processed juice is good for your kid. Now, she's heard enough from me raving about you don't process fruit. Eat the whole fruit. Eat the whole apple. Eat the whole orange. Or in her case, she likes lemons and grapefruit. But why would you squeeze it, process it, take out all the fiber, and then concentrate it so it's even sweeter? And here's the thing. Most of the obese people that you see walking around in America are actually malnourished. For years I ran an intensive outpatient program, an IOP as they're called. And in this intensive outpatient program at my wellness center in Silver Spring, we treated people with obesity, binge eating disorder, and all sorts of things. And it was interesting as I was doing the training in bariatric medicine and advanced nutrition to see these studies that show that many, many obese people are actually malnourished. Now, growing up in America, I don't know, Allison, do you remember these little aid to Africa ads that they would put on, and they would always show these little skinny Ethiopians with a big belly, and they were so, quote unquote, malnourished. Well, you think of malnourishment as being skinny, but the reality is right now in America, and yes, it's spreading to other countries, people who are morbidly obese are very frequently malnourished. Now, why is that? Because from the moment that they were children and they were given these little puffy O's or puffy rice, and they're just eating this processed grain that's genetically modified, that's been so machine manipulated that it doesn't even resemble the grain that it came from. It's so overprocessed that it gets turned into sugar in our bloodstream super fast, which means the brain is thinking, wait a minute, sugar's bad. Sugar leads to diabetes and early death. I better get rid of it. So the brain turns on the pancreas, which spits out insulin. And insulin just tells that sugar to get shoved away so that we don't have, a diabetic coma. So if you're eating stuff that gets processed into sugar quickly, and your brain is thinking, we got to get it out of here, and it shoves it with insulin's help into fat cells, but there's no nutrients there. I mean, come on, guys. I'm sorry, the puffy O's and the puffy rice cereals, there ain't no nutrients. All the added stuff they put in there, the vitamins and minerals, it's nonsense. It's barely bioavailable. And the bad thing with the sugar rise is that first your brain goes, oh, sugar, great, I've got my energy. But guess what happens? An hour, 2 hours later, you crash. And what happens when you crash? How many of you have ever had a crash where you're either reaching for that next cup of coffee or another donut or whatever other sweet treat to get back up? And so you live in these peaks and valleys, this roller coaster, but you never get fully fed. That's why they walk around so hungry. And then the propaganda on TV showing us all of these ads that say, oh, now with 22 vitamins. But nature didn't put them vitamins in there. Why are you trying to outthink Mother Gaia? The earth speaks. Gaia talks. No, that's a reference to something coming up soon. Got that one, Allison? But Mother Earth knew how to make that orange perfect. Sweet, full of vitamin C and all sorts of other good things, and fiber. So why do we need a can or a processed beverage to do that that's now been pasteurized and, okay, I know I'm really on a tangent, right? But that's why these obese people are malnourished, because they're eating to feed the brain to give it its next little hit of sugar, but they're very rarely getting the nutrients that their body needs. And so guess what that sets up? The same thing I've been talking about for this last hour. Oh my God, here I go again. The hour-long rant. It sets up this. It sets up poverty consciousness. Yep. When your brain is deprived of good nutrients and good food and good calories, guess what it does? The same thing that happens when you're in an economic crisis. It hoards. So your brain will literally turn down the metabolism of your body. Metabolism is just the thing that burns our fuel. And if you couple that with just sitting on the couch, Netflixing and chilling, or not exercising, not going up the stairs, taking the elevator all the time. I digress. If you're not active and you're eating junk and your brain never gets good nutrients, it thinks that it's in starvation mode. And so it hoards calories. It will burn just enough to keep you alive, but the rest of it gets stored as fat. And that's why these obese people are walking around with malnutrition. And so we've got to teach people to wake up. These food manufacturers are not on your side. And the drug manufacturers, the pharmaceutical industry, they are not on your side. They are not trying to keep you well. They are trying to keep you dependent. Oh Lord, here she goes. It's been a while, y'all. It's been a while since I've gone on a rant. Better drink some tea. Anyway, my lovely friends. Helen says, you never thought about it quite like that? Control, yes. Low vibe, yes. But not poverty consciousness. It is true. It is very true, unfortunately. Yeah, it's so obvious to me, and of course it's obvious to a lot of people who run around in these circles, that when you recognize that America has a sick care system, not a health care system, they treat symptoms and they keep you dependent on drugs and chemicals. They don't want you free until, of course, they realize that the whole vegan movement is not a fad. It's actually $1 billion industry. So now you see all of these people coming out with vegan options, including Ben & Jerry's, Haagen-Dazs. Yes, we gave in. I had some vegan ice cream when I was in America, and it was good. I'm so glad they don't sell that stuff here in France. I said to my daughter, okay, we've indulged while we're here, but if they had this stuff where we live in France, I would be just as obese because it tastes good. It's like a treat for your mouth. And you're thinking, oh, I've just got my little high. I can make it through another hour. And then life sets in and you're like, I need to get high again. I mean, it's like a drug. Anyway, so Terry says you can't discuss anything like this with your family. They wouldn't come close to expressing themselves in the way of calmness. Well, I'm not exactly calm at the moment, but I'm trying to keep it cool. Hello, beautiful Anya. It's been so long. Salut, ma belle. Yes, Helen, they have buja buja in the UK. We've had buja buja. Not quite as delicious and decadent as what I had in America, but the buja buja vegan ice cream was pretty okay. Sienna and I had some of that. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have. I realize I have been ranting now for over an hour. I went off on a tangent. I started off with the positivity, went down in dark low, and I just want you to remember that you've got to find something worth celebrating in your life. Even the little things. Even the little things. And it makes me think back to, I don't know where the book is, my very first book. The first book I wrote, The Pennington Plan, 5 Simple Steps for Achieving Vibrant Health, Emotional Well-Being, and Spiritual Growth. In that book, my 5 simple steps, number 4 is chart your progress, and number 5 is celebrate your success. And it's so funny because, all of my coaches out there, you know this stuff, but it's amazing how much we don't always practice it. And so by charting your progress, whether that's, trying to achieve some health goal or a financial goal or, getting something done in your business. Lusa says hello. She's missed you too here on Facebook. We have to take note of the things that either we do right or that are right or are beautiful. We actually have to make an effort to take note of them. And again, in the words of Dr. Rick Hansen, the author of The Buddha's Brain and Hardwiring Happiness, Rick suggests that we allow ourselves to take in the good. The brain is basically Velcro for the negative stuff, and it's like Teflon for the good stuff. So we actually have to make an effort to let the good stuff sink in and register in our brains. And yes, I did write about that in my book, The Orgasm Prescription for Women. Shameless plug for this book. But it's also good for us just to remember beyond sexy time, you actually need to take in the good. What is good about you? What's good about your environment? What's good about the world? To start to change the wiring and the chemistry of your brain. So today, I want you to do something that you normally save for a rainy day. Whether that's using those really pretty plates and china, or a beautiful cup, Camilla, or it's wearing that beautiful dress, Jeanette, or it's listening to some funky music, Karan. I know, I don't even have to tell you, girl, because you live in the vibes. But whatever it is, I want you to do that today. Do something or enjoy something, appreciate something that helps you raise your chemistry and helps you feel like there is good in my life and in the world. And the more that we cultivate those positive virtues of our own purity and light and love and joy, the more we will hold that space so that as this negativity and these storms pass, we will be in that golden age that Sister Jenna and Sister Gita explained. We can be that now. We can be the light that we wish to see in the world. We can be the change we wish to see in the world. And if we don't do it for ourselves, I'm sorry to tell you, ain't nobody out there gonna do it for you. I mean, okay, you might be lucky. You might have a partner who's gonna come and rub your feet tonight and add a little positivity to your life. But for the most part, we've got to take back responsibility and accountability for ourselves, for our lives, for our mental well-being. And then as we do that, we show other people that it's possible to be full of light and love and optimism. Because whether the storms and crises in the world last for the next 6 months or 6 years, you're still going to be on the planet, at least for a little while longer, right? So it's up to us to keep that joy and keep that light. Or in the words of the beautiful Helena Goldstein, we have to remember that that light is always there, even when it's dark. And if we can see the light, feel the light, and eventually channel and be the light, we'll heal ourselves and we can heal the planet. So my friends, thank you for listening. It has been an intense summer, faux show. It has really been it's been a mind-blowing experience, and I'm really grateful for it, but I'm so glad to be home. I'm so glad to be working with some of you, my beautiful clients, my mentees, my students. I'm so grateful that we have positive stuff coming. Next week, I have this beautiful woman that I've already talked about today, the beautiful Solveig, who is going to be, this is her all bent up like a pretzel in her beautiful yoga book. She doesn't walk around like this, though. She walks around like a goddess. Well, you guys got to check out that HuffPost article that I wrote about her, or listen to the radio show in just 2 hours' time. 2 hours on AmericaOutloud.com. She's coming here next week because I'm teaching Stories from the Soul, where I'm teaching people how to tell their stories effectively, whether you tell your stories on stage or in books. We have a life writing workshop where I'm teaching storytelling. And this goes back to my days. I mean, it's been 20 years that I've worked in professional broadcast media, from Discovery Channel and CNN and my time on Oprah and whatnot. But my dear friend Allison will tell you, who met up with me in California, I've been telling stories since way, way, way back. Like, we met when we were, 8 or 9 years old, and storytelling is a big part of my life. So being a news anchor and doing documentary films, it's always about communication and how well you tell stories. So Stories with Soul is an event that we're doing, and in here, Cannes, the south of France. And it's free to everyone who's part of the Time to Rise book project. So if you haven't heard about that, it's going to be juicy. Solveig is one of the authors who is contributing a story to Time to Rise. Also, Derry Llewellyn-Davies is contributing. Missy Crutchfield from the Gandhi Global Center for Peace and Gandhi's Bee magazine. I'm super excited because these stories are really meant to show us that it's possible to break out of the mold, to break out of our conditioning and programming. So I'm not the only one who's done it. We are inviting people from around the world to share how they've done it. How have you gone from being a conformity, people-pleasing, cookie-cutter person to charting your own path in life or in your career? I've already started meeting with people this week who have interviewed to tell me about their stories, and I've already given 2 invitations to people that I just connected with and love, love, love their story ideas. So Time to Rise is a group book project that will help people get their brand and their message out to the world. And it's hugely important for people who are coaches and healers and mentors, light workers, because you get to share more of your heart and your story. I think most of us kind of lean more towards our methodology and our approach. And sometimes we forget that people want to, in this day and age, people want to connect at a heart level. People want to connect with humans as opposed to just a resume or a list of letters after your name. So I'm really excited about the Time to Rise book project. And Missy Crutchfield from Gandhi Global Center for Peace and Gandhi's Bee magazine, she has also invited my daughter to blog on Gandhi's Bee magazine about, going vegan. And so when we were in California, Missy flew in, and with Allison, we shot some video for a new project that we're doing called Gaia Talks, The Earth Speaks. And these are 20-minute TED-style talks where we're inviting people from around the world visiting various sacred sites and beautiful places to shoot these videos where you can share, your passion, your TED-style talk about your connection to Mother Earth or what you're doing to make the Earth a better, happier, healthier place. So we went to the Redwoods, the Great Basin Redwoods Park, a national park, which has the largest grouping of these ancient redwoods, that's down south. Thank you, Terry. Glad that you were here. Thank you for sharing the video. Blessings to you. So at this national park, you'll see some photos. You might even see some video. Yeah, I shot some video there too. I know, don't say anything, Allison. I love the video you shot of me at the Redwood Park. I'm just saying, I love it. It was like me in my truth, and Sienna was in her truth. She took off her shoes. She's just like getting her feet and her hands in the dirt and the earth, walking through these ginormous redwood trees. So it was a blessing. It was a blessing to have ended with Allison and Missy and shooting this initial footage for Gaia Talks, The Earth Speaks. And the exciting news is we will be inviting you, for any of you who are adventurous, salut Romeo, we are going to be visiting sacred sites in Tibet on our way to Everest. That's right. Derry Llewellyn-Davies, the world adventurer, is co-hosting with us a spiritual trek. Yep, I'm going to Mount Everest, baby, April 2018, along with Missy for Gaia Talks, and we'll be shooting there as well. So huge, huge stuff on the horizon. That's what I'm holding on to. I'm holding on to the positivity. And now more than ever, we need these positive voices. We need your positive voice, your smile, your love, to help lift the vibration of everyone and to remind us that we have this power. Ciao, Anna. It's good to have you. It's been a long time, Bella. Yes, it is amazing, Helen. I mean, first of all, I definitely want to go visit these sacred sites in Tibet. Never imagined that I would get to Everest. But Missy actually had some really deep visions on Mount Everest when she was there, but she was on the Nepalese side. So she said she wanted to return, and I was like, well, guess what? I'm shooting an episode of my documentary series there with Derry. So we are doing some exciting stuff. So I'm really excited about that. And then you, beautiful Helen, I will see you in London and some other fabulous people for Speak from the Heart. And this is my authentic heart-connected speaker training that we're doing in London, October 28th and 29th. There's a VIP track as well where we're starting on Friday night. Derry will be giving a special presentation, some other speakers like Helen. Oh gosh, I'm never going to remember everyone. Gita Vinter is flying in from Denmark. She's speaking. I know that the beautiful Dr. Jill Stocker, the juicy hormone doctor, is coming in from America. Helena Philipson, my partner in empowerment crime. She's going to be coming in with her handsome beau named Dave. Gosh, so many wonderful people. So it's going to be a busy fall, and I'm just going to stay positive, and I'll continue to transmit that positivity to you. Thank you, Anna. I'm trying to be inspiring. I'm not trying to be, I am. I have to celebrate all of you. I have to celebrate the amazing people who are positive, who are raising up good energy in the world. I have to do it, because negativity, I just don't like it. I can't tolerate it for very long. It just brings me down. So what else do we have? Oh, in October, I'm going to see some of you here for the Roots of Purpose. Oh, and I should have said this earlier, the Roots of Purpose retreat here in the south of France, October 20th through the 24th. We have another spot open because someone is now bringing a friend, so they won't be staying in the villa. So we have this beautiful villa that actually the people that just left here, they are going to be on their island home with Sienna, and we are using their beautiful villa with a pool, with a beautiful mountain views, 20 minutes from the ocean in Cannes. We are using their villa for this beautiful retreat. And Solveig, the beautiful Solveig, is coming down from Iceland. We've got people coming from Denmark and America. Todd Malloy is going to be coming from America, giving a special presentation. Somebody's coming from Germany, the UK. I think that's everywhere. But we have an extra spot, so if you're interested in that, send me a private message and I'll tell you more about the Roots of Purpose retreat, or you can find it at andreapennington.com. That's October. And then November, I'll be in Denmark. I'll be in Copenhagen for the Women's Empowerment Forum, I think, yeah. WEF, no, I don't remember, WEF, anyway. There is an empowerment conference. It's actually happening globally in multiple countries. The United Nations Women's Empowerment Day is in November. So I will be up in Copenhagen giving a keynote, and Helena Philipson is hosting us in her beautiful space called Lightworks. So I will be doing a little private get-together in Copenhagen. Details will be forthcoming. So that's November. And then December, the Time to Rise book project launches, hopefully featuring some of your stories in this beautiful book that is going to help you get your name out into the world, your message, and help to raise awareness about you and what you do, which is so needed right now. Like people, I feel like we as light workers, we need these platforms, these global platforms, to share the good news, to share the positivity that we have. And this bug just wants to share the stage. It's the end of summer. I think all the bugs are like, hey, let's go back to the vegan house and see what they have for us. Hilarious. Not funny at all. Anyway, so Time to Rise will launch in December, and anyway, that's most of what's going on for the fall. So thank you for being a part of my summer. Thank you for your patience as I've been on the road and I've been away from you for these Facebook Lives. I'm really grateful that you've been so supportive and that you've been continuing to share the messages of me and the people in my tribe. Please keep doing that. Y'all, just share the love, encourage each other, keep supporting each other, because we have such beautiful, good stuff coming. Tomorrow I'm interviewing you, beautiful Helen Rebello, about your wonderful book project, The Magical Unfolding. Like, there's so much goodness in this community, and these messages have to get out. I know it can seem scary to you to like go into the big bad media and be vulnerable, but I promise you, there's so much power in being your authentic self. There's so much power that this bug wants to crash my party. The power in vulnerability is something you wouldn't expect. You'd expect that you'd feel weak, that you'd want to hide, and it's quite the opposite. You'll find that people reach out to you and they say, oh my God, I had no idea that you'd been through that. I've been there too. How can you help me? We sometimes think that if we show our vulnerability or our weakness or our struggles, we think that someone's going to think that we're not smart enough, we're not good enough, we're not whatever enough to help them. And it's quite the opposite. It shows that we are liberated, Helen, that we are fearfully made and positively kick-ass because we had those challenges and we bounced back. And whatever your methodology is, whether it's a magical unfolding or a 5 simple steps, whatever, you need to share that. You gotta share it. So my dear friends, I love you. I'm sending you tons of hugs and kisses. So Romeo, courage, bon courage, et merde. Bon, it's not really, you're not really performing, but as we say in the theater, break a leg on the launch of your upcoming program. I'd love to do one of these Facebook Lives en français pour tout le monde qui a besoin d'un peu d'aide avec la psychologie ou l'amour. Roméo, il est un expert avec les relations toxiques. Ouais, c'est vrai. And yeah, what? Just have a fabulous, fabulous rest of the week. I look forward to seeing you again on some of these Facebook Lives. And please do tune into my radio show again tonight. In a couple of days, it'll be on iTunes and whatnot. But in 2 hours, well, boy, an hour and a half's time, you can see, you can listen to that show, which I'm giving tons of shout outs to my peeps, because that's how I roll. I love to lift you all up. So keep doing what you're doing. I am sending you much love from the south of France, all right? Mwah. And yes, Jeanette, I'm so glad you're going to go put on that dress. Like, do it, do it, do it, do it, you know? Somebody do a little happy dance. Do a little dance. Get your groove on. Celebrate the beauty in you and the beauty in our world. And yes, continue to send love and prayers to people around the world who need it. But remind us all that we are going to get through the dark times and back into the light. Much love, peeps. Bye.